Hi. So in this video, we'll take an example of product estimation question. In this, we'll tackle a question that is, how will you estimate the size of total storage required for YouTube for this year? So I'll role play here, we'll take turns. So first I will solve this question, then we'll come out of it and do a debrief. So before starting into the estimate, I have a few clarification questions. The first is, as I understand, YouTube mostly consists of the longer length videos, the YT shorts, and some NFL and live streaming. So into your response, yeah, right. These are the main features for YouTube that require storage. The second question that I have is, when you have to estimate storage, I assume that YouTube does not delete old videos. I have not come across that policy. So that means that whatever size storage required today would be right from its launch in 2009, how much videos would have been uploaded and are being still stored in the YouTube server. So into your response, that's right. So thank you for the clarification. Now I'll take a few more moments to chart out how I want to approach this question, and then I'll get back to you. Sounds good. Take your time. Okay, so I have finalized my approach here. So what I'll do is I'll start with this year, that how much videos are being estimated. Now I know that YouTube is growing 50% or 30% at a pretty high rate over the years. So I'll assume that growth rate to figure out what has happened before to estimate the total size. Now to going into how I'll estimate the sizes. So in the three main verticals that I see, YT shorts, and the streaming, I think the YouTube original, where you upload longer length videos, would be consuming 90% of the storage. YT shorts still new, it's very short in a way. The video length time is small, so relatively very less storage. A typical YouTube video that I see is around 10 minutes, while YT shorts is 1 minute. So you anyway have 1% kind of number even for this year. So what I will do, and NFL again, and these streaming are small, so I'll first estimate the YT original, how much storage it requires, and then I take a percentage for YT shorts and news. Now how will I estimate for the YT original? So I know that Facebook has around 3 billion users, Facebook, YouTube, and all of them are mostly globally used and have similar set of user count. So I assume that monthly number of users using YouTube is around 3 billion. Now 90% of these users will just be consuming content, maybe writing few comments, which is text file, not much storage. 10% or 9% of it would be uploaders, or who occasionally upload videos, let's assume twice a month. Now if I had more time, I had done research that what is the majority frequency, but the more often I see most of the YouTube bloggers and other who are not very regular are generally twice a month. The YouTube influencers or news channels, which are pretty heavy uploaders, are 1% of the YouTube users, and typically on an average I would say they upload twice a video. Now some of the news channel uploads maybe every hour, but sports and other maybe once in a month, and other like the travel blogger, the food blogger, once in a week. So I assume on an average it will be twice a day. So these are my assumption based on what I have seen. But if I had more time, I would have done some research to figure that out, that what typical assumption should I take, how much is the split here. I would have also, as a product manager in YouTube, gone through our database and understood how much is the split of the user among this medium user uploaders and this heavy users. So if this approach sounds right to you, I'll then go ahead and do the estimate. This approach sounds good. Of course, if you look at the real data, it will differ a bit, but I think for the purpose of this interview, this approach sounds well, so proceed ahead. So with that, I'll take some time now and do the calculation, and then I'll walk you through it. Okay, so I had done some calculation and I'll walk you through it. So starting with the first one for these 10% user. So in actual, these are 9% user. I have taken a 10% to make the calculation easy, and then I'll subtract 10% out of it. So this comes out to be 300 million user, and I'm assuming they are uploading 2 videos per month. And a typical video size, I'm assuming, is 20 minutes from what I see on YouTube. Now, this is a very big factor that can have a huge impact. So if I had time, I would have researched that what is the average video size. But for now, I'll take 20 minutes. I know a 1 hour video of 180p takes around 1 GB of space. So I have assumed 1 GB and taken 20 by 60, the ratio of that, in order to calculate. So I'll start with 180 and then I'll assume what different other storage size like 280 and other takes, which will be a fraction of all of this. So starting with this calculation, so 300 million user uploading 24 videos per day, and 1 by 3 into 1 GB, that is storage, and million is the total unit here. So just doing the calculation, this goes to 8, this is 2400 into 1 GB into million. So this million I am now removing. So 1 GB become first 1 terabyte, then another one becomes 1 petabyte, and this million goes out of. So this is 2400 petabyte, which becomes 2.4 exabyte. Now in the case of 1%, and because this was 9%, I could remove 10% out of it, which is the real number. So 10% of this is 0.2. So this is almost 2.2 exabyte. Now this 2.4 that I have here, and I know this number, we have assumed that these guys are uploading 30 every day into 2 into 24, 2 into 12. So every month they are uploading 32 videos every day. So this is 30 times already of this number. And because this is 1% of this number, so this is 1 by 10, right? So one way to calculate this is 1 thrice of this number. So because this comes out to be 2.2, so this comes out to be 2.4, so this comes out to be 7. 3 4 is 12, 1 3 2 7.2. Yeah, so this comes out to be 7.2. So 7.2 plus 2.2 is the number that I have for 180p. So that is 9.4. So let's assume is 10 for 108p. Now they are 720, there was 240, another, which I assume is, so 720 will be almost half of this, maybe a bit higher. And I assume in all of this that YouTube is storing all of these different resolution, because doing it on the fly will be pretty costly on the compute size, and YouTube would want to save compute versus save storage. So that way they are putting all of this in different format. Now they will also be compressing the data and all. So let's assume that. So 10 exabyte, and because in 3 formats, overall 30 exabyte of data, assuming maybe they are doing, 10 exabyte here, and this will be half of this, so 5 exabyte, this further half of it, so 2 exabyte. So overall it comes out to be maybe 18 exabytes, 17, 18 exabyte. I'm assuming there is another resolution that I might have missed. So overall this should not be more than 20 exabyte. That is data for this year. Now because YT Shorts we assumed is a 1 minute one, right, and it was not there last year as well. So we'll consider that in the end. So continuing with my calculations, so 20 exabyte was for this year for YT original. Now let's assume YT is growing like 50% every year, which I have seen from most of the numbers that I have seen. So last year it would have been around what, 12 exabyte, right? Before that, similar, so it would have been around 8 exabyte. Before that, around 5 exabyte. So, and before that, 3 exabyte, before 2 exabyte. This is approximate calculation, assuming it's growing 50% almost year on year. So 20 plus 32, 32, 40, 45, 45, 348, 48, 350, and let's say 2 exabyte in the prior years, because it will not be more than that. So if I add all of this, this comes out to be less than 60 exabyte or close to that. So that's the total YT storage. Now 1%, because YT Shorts I guess was launched this year, so 1% of this storage, which is 20 exabyte, if I So 20 exabyte I take, it's 2 exabyte. So adding that will be 62 exabyte, which again for the ballpark I'm assuming 60 exabyte. YT live and all I'm ignoring for some time. So this is the real storage in bytes. Now there's a lot of things that goes on top. For example, depending on the regulation, in a country like India or China, or YouTube is not in China, but Europe might want to keep a copy in their region or not allow keeping a copy in another region. So there is a regulation aspect. Plus, I know data center goes out, so typically YouTube might be copying 3 copies of data, which is the general standard practice. Now, they would also be using technique like striping and all, which helps not keep all the copies in 3 location. So what I'll assume that they are keeping 2 copies at least of all of this, and then compressing all of this to an extent. And compression ratio could be as high as 50% even for lossless compression. So taking all of this account, because you will multiply by 2, then reduce 50%, this will not go higher, should have similar number. So I would assume that ballpark overall YT storage for this year should be around 60-70 exabyte. Of course, we did have to take other factors into account like regulation, compliance and other, which I just assumed would be met by keeping multiple copies, within 3 copy, 1 copy is another continent. So that's my final number on YT storage. And if I had more time, I would have done more research on this average video length. I think this number, if I just double it, this whole number will become double if I reduce it by half. So this is a very critical number which has huge impact. Second, I would have tried to understand a bit about compliance, how many copies YouTube generally keeps for disaster recovery and other, because that is also a big factor there. But given the limited time we have in the interview, this is the number that I have for you. So now a debrief. So some good points about the mock. I think the candidate was moving fast, making good calculation, has an understanding of storage, that how data is stored, and did assume a lot of, make good assumption along the way and give evidence on why to assume. What candidate could have improved? I think the first one was doing a sanity check at the end. One way to do sanity check could have been get a dollar number. So if this is the total exabyte, if you multiply, assuming the object storage price of S3, which is 2 cents a GB, what is the final number comes out to be? Now the revenue number of YouTube is out in the public market is around $6 to $10 billion. So that would have given an idea that is it a reasonable number or not. Second, I think the candidate could have involved interviewer a bit, like how much replication copies is there, their disaster recovery strategy and all of that. But good assumption, and he did try to validate that.